This timeout is sponsored by Augie's Locker Room. Augie's features the largest collection of Notre Dame football memorabilia and gifts, including rare and hard-to-find items.
Hey, this is Augie, Augie's Locker Room. Website, augieslockerroom.com. Visit us here or the website.
Tim O'Malley with Tim Prister and John Brice following our 12th and final practice viewing, 10 of them partial, another one today. John, you were roving around today. What is kind of your overall impression of the 12 we saw? I know 2 were more beneficial than the rest, but camp competition, I think, would be one way of summing it up.
Yeah, I know the board has asked if I'm capable of playing rover. I am on practice observation. I am not in real life. But I think that as we continue to watch this team over the course of camp, that speed and depth continue to shine to me, and that's what we have seen today, along with the competition. And I think that is what sticks out. You have seen guys challenging one another. You have seen a team that is so much faster and so much more eager, I think, when they lose a rep to get right back out there. And Jaden Greathouse is playing so far beyond his age, and I know that's a little absurd because it is preseason camp. But when you see him out there and telling people, hey, get off me, I know what I'm doing, you don't want to compete with me, I think that competitiveness is what Marcus Freeman really wants in his camp, and I think he talked to me about that this summer.
Tim, you're with the offense today. No major surprises, because I don't think there's no varsity guys going down, no scholarship guys going down on the scout team other than obviously third-string offensive linemen. But what do you see in the rotation today? I saw Aug.18 looked like he was taking some more first-string reps going through. They had been saving him quite a bit for obvious reasons.
I think we're seeing a lot of Jabron Payne.
Yeah.
Dealan McCullough talked about him the other day, and I kind of thought maybe coach speak, because you have 5 running backs, and you know that Jeremiah Love has great speed, and we saw basically Price and Ford taking most of the reps last Tuesday with the scrimmage. But Jabron Payne, McCullough said that he has graded out the best.
Yeah.
He's a quality blocker. He's small. He's along the same lines size-wise as Kyron Williams, but he was mixing in there with the ones today. So I think it really is interesting. JB mentioned something about a 5-headed monster, and I said there's not enough room for 5 guys, but when you see Payne step forward like that, maybe there is. McCullough talks about, 8, 9 different roles for running backs.
He keeps extending it. It's up to 10 now.
He does. I thought it was 7 last
yeah.
year. It's now 8 or 9. He's extending it, and a lot of that has to do with special teams as well. Payne is the off-return man. We expect him to be next to Devin Ford.
Yeah, we saw more special teams kick return today. As you mentioned, that was the first unit. You can read about the rest of the first unit in my practice report that's forthcoming. But the backup return men were Chris Tyree and Rico Flores. That's a change because about a week and a half ago when we watched kick return, Flores was on that, but he was up front. Now they have him in the back, and the one coaching point I heard was, way to go, Rico. It was a live segment against the scout team, so I think you could see Flores mix in there a little bit. It's important that he continued to have a good camp. We got to speak to Mike Mickens and 5 cornerbacks today. Clarence Lewis is all over the field. He's not really a starter. He gets to play some nickel, some dime in the famous Aztec position. He said that's just 3 safeties and 3 corners as well. So I think if you're the Aztec, it's cool, and if not, you're just playing safety and corner. And, of course, he will fill in at the boundary, but he could not do this if not for Christian Gray. And you spoke a little bit to Gray and Mike Mickens today. If Gray was not a reliable 4th corner, there'd be no way this would work out with Clarence Lewis playing all over the place.
Right. No, it's very true. And Gray is in the mix. He's on special teams. He's on 2 of the special teams. He's a mostly soft-spoken guy in an interview setting, but talking to Mike Mickens, he likes his length. He's played both boundary and field. I said, is he more field corner? He said, no, he's boundary. So that's really good. That kind of gives them balance. I do want to mention, jumping back to the offense, Zeke Corral, we saw him at the front. You know how the offensive linemen all come out, they leave the locker room together and cross the street. He started out at the front of the pack and was at the middle of the pack by the time they got to the entrance, because he's still hobbling pretty well with that left ankle injury. He tried to do the best that he could during flex. They end practice with sprints. His was definitely a crawl, but he was giving it his best shot. He was instructing Ashton Craig, who was working with the first unit. And we've seen some rotation at the right guard spot. Jagasa, Christophic. Today we saw Sam Pendleton, the only early entry freshman offensive lineman among the 5.
John, I want to get back to the defense a little bit, but it was odd watching today's practice because you know that what they're showing in the first 5 periods is not going to be completely Navy specific, but there was one part where the linebackers, there were only 4, and it was Bertrand and Leofau, backed by Bowen and Sneed, and that's because Jack Kaiser, if they have their wish, will be playing a unique position against Navy's triple option. That's what they wanted from him last year. But I think it's the depth that they have grown, and you've been kind of hinting towards the storyline on this, the depth that they are growing at the program, but especially defensively, that impresses you.
Yeah, I promise that depth story is coming even more than what we've already shared with you this week at Irish Illustrated. But you're right. The versatility of Jack Kaiser, the fact they're doing some more creative things. They're so much more comfortable in Al Golden's system under a second year. Kaiser personally is so experienced and versatile that gives them a lot of flexibility. And then to your point about Christian Gray, and then not a true freshman, but a guy that continues to surge, is Jalen Sneed. And then offensively, in addition to Rico Flores and Jaden Greathouse, is also the continued emergence of Jeremiah Love. And so I think those are the young guys you really want to continue to see and are going to continue to see. And jumping around just a little bit more and following up what Tim said, Zeke Correll out there looks just like a sprained ankle. That's what's been indicated. There's great optimism that he's going to be fine well before kickoff. And though he wasn't a full participant today, he did get out there and try to work with his teammates and then step to the side when we saw some tempo and some team stuff, and just continued to be out there fully dressed, but obviously not fully go.
Next time we see a practice, it will either be at a major bowl or playoff or next spring. So you're rooting to see us in December because they don't have to let us in if it's a regular old bowl game. But until then, there'll be plenty of coverage at irishillustrated.com. For Tim Prister, John Brice, I'm Tim O'Malley. This has been Irish Illustrated Instant Analysis.